You check that Noxie for us, mate?
Sorry, mate. Yeah, nah.
Looks like you could do with the fiery goodness of PointsBet.
It's like hot sauce, but for sport.
And now it comes with lock screen tracker. So you can follow your bet even when you got your hands full.
Cheers, mate. I'd shake your hand, but...
Same game multi from PointsBet, now with lock screen tracker. Yeah, that's built different.
Imagine what you could be buying instead. For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.
Hi, I'm Shaquille O'Neal. I'm wearing Rick's sunglasses, made in Australia.
Shaq loves Australia.
See?
There we
That's
go.
your first commercial right there.
Head to checkout and use the discount code ACES and you'll get 20% off site-wide. Rick's, eyewear that inspires confidence. We put out some questions to everyone on the ausmericanaces Instagram, and this is the best one. This one's from Tom Papley.
Ah, the little plumber.
Yeah, the little plumber. He goes, Kin, what the fuck did you see in a fat plumber from Bunyip?
Not much.
Because he is a gem and you picked him up, but it's a good question from Pat.
Yeah, look, he's Tommy had a really interesting couple of years, but he had a really dynamic final series for Gippsland Power, where he's not only playing as a forward, small dynamic forward, but he also went on ball and showed that capacity to be able to get centre bounce clearances, etc. So it gave him another edge, if you like, to his game. And the more we interviewed him and got to know him, and just thought, yeah, this kid wants it. You can just tell that he really wants it. So if he gets an opportunity, and that's, I think, a lot of the time why the rookies are so successful, because they've got there a bit harder and then they apply themselves because they don't want to let it slip. Yeah.
A bit more resilient.
I don't know whether it's resilient. I don't know. Like 2024 grand final, we had 8 rookies on the field.
Yeah.
You know, so people forget, like Jake Lloyd's a rookie, Ramps is a rookie, Marty's a rookie, McLean's a rookie. Fox was a rookie. Paps is a rookie. Sort of went on and on.
Crazy, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Even Rampy, when you say that, it's like, Jesus. You talk about, I mean, what you just said earlier, you said I'm probably more proud about my late picks than my early picks.
Yeah.
Do you think that's probably what separates, do you think that's what separates probably great list managers, recruiters?
I reckon it's changed a lot, Tommy. I reckon if you went back 10, 15 years, there were clubs that didn't value their rookie selections at all. They probably wouldn't given not enough thought to, once the national draft finished, to the rookie draft and then reassessing against their list needs and saying, well, can we pick a player here that our list is the type of player our list is crying out for, like a small forward, and we needed one. So there was an opportunity for Tom, if he was good enough to fit straight into that. Some of them, I think, just look at their list at the national draft and go the next name. But you could be taking another midfield and you've drafted 3 in the draft. So he's already way back in the queue. So,
yeah.
But I reckon that's changed a lot. I mean, clubs are using their rookie draft selections more wisely. The bit I don't like about it at the moment since COVID is this bit about being able to drop really senior players off and then taking them back at rookies. A person,
Jake Stringer is doing that at the moment.
Yeah, well, we're doing it with Ramps and Jake, because the rules allow you
Jack
to do it.
Gunston's another one. Is he doing that as well?
No, I don't.
No?
Is it Jack? No, I don't
Maybe
think
not.
so. But there's quite a few, and I don't like the look of it because what it's doing is it's preventing young ones from getting a start in the game. So it happened around COVID when our list sizes and TPP were reduced and there had to be a mechanism to be able to cope with that. So the AFL allowed us to drop blokes off onto the rookie list and a proportion of their wage was paid outside of the cap, but that hasn't been corrected. So I wouldn't be surprised in the not too distant future that the AFL correct that a bit.
I love it.
Like, it doesn't sound right to me that there's a 30-year-old plus that's played 200 games sitting on a rookie list.
And even for their ego, it would hurt. You know what I mean? I'm just thinking that it doesn't make much sense, does it?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's only my personal opinion, but I don't
just keep the list
personally
spot,
like it. Yeah.
I'm gonna give you a little bit of time to think about Jordan Dawson. That's going to be my second question. So that's coming up next. Anyone out there that wants to know why the Swans let Jordan Dawson go, we'll find out why and what happened. On your, from your perspective, Tassie's around the corner. Beats you'll be out of the game a little bit. Well, we'll talk about what you're doing next. But let's just say you're a free agent recruiter, and they call you up and they say, mate, we need you for a year. You're going to put together the Tassie side. Who's the first player you would select if you were Tasmania, and what would you pay them?
Sam Darcy, whatever he wanted. I can't see how defenders are going to defend. If his body remains sound, I don't know how opposition sides are going to be able to defend against him.
I introed the podcast, 38 years of football. Is he the most exciting prospect you've ever seen?
Well up there if he's not the best.
Wow.
He fights for front position. He's got an extension with his reach and leap that with the rules of the game now, if you chop their arms or hit them anywhere, it's a free kick. I don't know how you stop him. He doesn't go to ground. He's got good agility. He's got good speed, and he's a fierce competitor. Ticks a lot of boxes. Yeah.
So what do the Bulldogs have to do to retain him? Pay him an absolute squillion.
Yeah. Yeah, and he'll probably deserve it. But because of the history of the family in the game, and I don't know Sam very well at all.
Yeah.
Probably spoke to him for 5 minutes leading into that draft.
Because you knew you weren't going to get him.
Yeah, I knew you weren't going to get him. But he would, from afar, he strikes me as a kid that would go down the Geelong model of, I understand I have to take a little bit less to be able to surround myself with teammates that will give me a better chance of being successful as a player, because ultimately most players have two things they want to get out of footy. Yeah, they want to be well remunerated for it, and so they should be, because they're in the game for a short period of time. But most of them, because they're such fierce competitors, they want to play in successful teams, ultimately premierships. And this is one of the things that frustrate me with player managers a bit at the moment, is there are some that don't value that part of it at all. It's just about the bucks rather than, but at the end of the day, mate, he's still going to be well remunerated. But he will look back on his career and say, there's a part of me that's missing because I didn't play in a premiership, or I never got the opportunity to play in one, or even try for one because we didn't make grand finals because our side wasn't very good.
Couldn't agree more.
Yeah. And Sammy strikes me, just looking at how he plays and his involvement with the club. Like, he was there watching their VFL team win this year's premiership, etc. He strikes me as that type of player.
All right. He signs with the Dogs. Who's the next player then?
It'd be hard to go past Dacos.
Yeah.
Nick?
The fact that he's won a flag would be more exciting for him to say, kind of already done things that people haven't done. It'd be, the cash would be nice. Cal Ward, Phil Davis took. It's that kind of model, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know how important the Dacos legacy at Collingwood would be for Nick, but I think it would be pretty significant.
How much cash would that actually be? I've got this, for some reason I feel like it's around the 2.5 too.
Probably starting to get up there, yeah.
Yeah. Just because you just need to get the big fish in.
Yeah, they're going to have to get some big names to be able to put together a competitive team and get other players to go there. Yeah.
The Dogs have
That's if they get the licence.
Yeah.
Still got to get through the upper house.
Hopefully they get the roof on there as well. Geez, I don't know what
that's all part of it.
That's all part of it as well. All right. Jordan Dawson's been on this podcast. Yep. He's a great man as well. Geez, he's one of the nicest guys you can meet.
Yeah.
He played a fair few games at the Swans, so you would have had you recruited him, you knew exactly what you had. Tell me why you just couldn't retain him at the Swans.
Cost of living. There's two aspects of it. Cost of living, and I'll come back to that. The other thing is Jordan. I really like Jordan. He's a wonderful young bloke, and his wife. They're both childhood sweethearts from Robe, both very connected to their family. So there was a strong pull back from the families to get him back, and that's just a matter of life. But the house and everything that Jordan and his wife were able to buy in Adelaide, I think it's 2-3 car garage, big backyard for their dog or dogs. It's multiple bedrooms, as opposed to a unit in Sydney without a carport, far less a garage, and no backyard for the dog. Living in the eastern suburbs, that's how different it is. So it was a whole lifestyle thing for Jordan, I think. And look, he's turned into a super player. When you draft a player like that, do you think that they're going to turn into that player? No. If I was that convinced of that, why the hell would I have left him so deep in the draft? I would have taken him with our first pick if I was that convinced on that. So, if recruiters tell you that, there's that, no, they're lying. They didn't realise that he was going to be that good. The trade itself was pretty frustrating because we talked before about the pre-season rookie draft.
Yep.
So Adelaide finished second last that year. They had the second pick in the rookie draft. We knew it. They'd forced Jackson Haitley, who you would have played with at the Giants, I think, through to the pre-season draft a year before or 2 years before.
Yep.
So the Giants lost a player for nothing.
First round pick as well, Jacko. So
Yeah.
The Giants would be filthy with that.
Yeah, and they were. And we knew that North Melbourne wouldn't take Jordan in the pre-season draft.
Why wouldn't they?
I don't know.
So North should have taken him, right? That's what I just realised.
Well, they don't have to declare anything. They just do it.
So North had pick 1 in the pre-season draft. Adelaide had pick 2. Jordan would have submitted a form to say, I can't go to your club unless I'm paid this.
You can't say that because that's being prejudicial to your draft, to the draft. All you can say is, this is my terms and conditions.
And they would have the terms and conditions?
Yeah.
Which is...
Yeah, you write to the... So once a player nominates for the pre-season draft...
The terms and conditions are what you need to be paid, right? Is that?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and that's set in stone. That can't be altered.
And then North would then have that, as every other club would, in the pre-season?
If you requested it from the AFL and you proved that you had a list spot available, yes.
And they could have easily taken him. The only reason they would go back to what we were talking about earlier, which would be the code of ethics, manager, politics, everything else.
Bit of that. I wouldn't have thought total player payments would have been an issue
Jordan
for
would be
them.
Flat though, if that, like we just spoke about why, and he, as I said, he's an absolute ripper, family man. To then get snapped to go to Melbourne, like Sydney, Melbourne, you'd be pretty. I'm interested to see how this unfolds on Friday night.
Well, that's the bit that I find fascinating with. We're diverting a bit here, but if with the Cal Archie, like part of the story I hear is that he wants to go to Adelaide to be closer to home. Home is WA.
Yeah, so he can.
Now, if he wanted to get to West Coast but ended up in Adelaide, I could understand them being dirty. But he's actually getting home, not closer to home. He's getting home. But anyhow,
maybe it's a Buddy Franklin job, and they're just they're telling everyone they're going to the Giants, and they end up going to the Swans.
So getting back to Dorso, like we, in the end, once we knew that North weren't going to take him for whatever reasons, our hands were tied a bit because I think they were just waiting for us to lose our cool and say, you know what, you can go and get stuff. You can take him in the pre-season draft. And having been around long enough, you know that they then go back to the player and the manager and said, oh, if Sydney have said this, you can go and get stuff. You can go for nothing in the pre-season draft. And then the club that's taking them say, well, that wasn't our call. It was your existing club. So we never said that. We just, in the end, had to accept pick 19. We thought he was worth more than that, but third in the hand's worth two in the bush.
That's what my old man says.
Better to get something than nothing. And look,
pick 19's still okay.
It's okay. I mean,
but you look back now, you're being fleeced because he's like,
but
I don't know, what was he All-Australian skipper last year? I can't remember. No, Jezza was, but he was not far off.
Yeah, he could have been. But we, we had people on the list management committee saying, I know we should make a stance on this and hang him out to dry and put him through the pre-season draft. He won't get there to... Big deal. You reckon it's going to influence someone else not doing it a couple of years down the track?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
It's fascinating.
It's a different philosophy. And that's one of the things dealing with list management is all the different opinions on how things should occur and types of players, et cetera. And that's quite often difficult to navigate.
As the main man, not this year, but when you were, what was your title when you're the main guy?
It varied a bit depending on where it is. So it went from player acquisition manager, fancy title.
That's a nice one.
But until the last couple of years, it was head of recruiting and list strategy, which Chris Kane's now taken that title. And the last couple of years, last year I was national recruiting manager, and this year I'm just a gopher working in recruiting. So with no stress, Tommy.
No stress, yeah. There will be tomorrow. No, actually, no, there won't.
No, there won't. It's on them now.
You're not accountable.
No, that's right.
When you're the head honcho, though, how many people? Take me back to a meeting, but a room, probably like a board or something, boardroom. How many people in that room when you speak about all these opinions? How many humans are in there?
It varies from club to club, but I would say usually a minimum of 4, maximum of up to about 8.
That must be hard with different opinions.
Well, it depends why they're on the committee, the list management committee. Some may be a board member if they feel, and they say they have a director of football, and that's his portfolio on the board is to report on football. He needs to be across everything. Might not have an opinion on that, but he's the link between the board and the football. Obviously, your senior coach, your GM of footy. It might be an assistant coach. It could be in Sydney's case, the chief operating officer.
CEO, Matty Pavlich.
Yeah. No, not the CEO, the CFO, Chief Financial Officer, because in our case, he's done a lot of the financial modelling and done very well. So he's involved in it. And usually the national recruiting manager, and that's enough, in my opinion. Sometimes they can get too big and you can't get a decision, especially when you're getting to trade period, because there's too many decisions, to be honest. Yeah. Too many opinions.
Then you're wasting time.
Yeah.
Did you ever take? You obviously would have been. You get more confident, with your actions and your experience. But was there a moment in time over the journey where you remember being so nervous and you stuck to your guns, and that player turned out to be a superstar, but you were that far off changing because of all that?
Nah, not more in the draft. Than a trade or something like that.
Yeah, I'm talking about draft night. Yep.
Yeah, all the coaches I've worked with were pretty good in the end. They'd say, okay, providing you bring them in and
don't hide information.
Don't hide information, what's all, and you've been able to discuss with your development staff, like, can we improve this aspect of his game, whether it's ball handling or their running capacity, et cetera, and you're dealing with your strength and conditioning staff. Working with them rather than against them. And at odd times too, especially more with rookie drafts, et cetera, sometimes it's important to let your coach have a kill.
Oh, yeah.
If they're real keen on a player.
Let him have one.
Yeah.
Feed the ego. Feed the ego.
Yeah. Pick the battle to win the war type thing. I mean, they're pretty experienced people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's one of those ones where most of your work's done, so you could probably afford one for them.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about, I love NFL, mate. Absolutely love it. And the draft is just as important. And the coverage of the draft's incredible. And there's probably a much bigger room. You see 30 to 40 people, but that first round is critical. More so probably your 20 to 30. But I've seen some amazing things happen where they trade picks on the night. And there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
What's the moment where you're in that and you're trading picks on the day, futures, and you might, and all of a sudden you're doing it all just to come up the draft a little bit to get one player, and you got them. Take me back to one of those moments.
That's probably the biggest change in the recruiting landscape in the last 5 years that I've seen, is the ability to trade on the night. In the past, you were able to pretty much map out your program of where you'd think players would fall, and you might have, say, and I'd done this previously, you'd have two selections 8 apart, say, and you could say, well, I don't reckon these clubs between this selection and our next are going to take a ruckman, so we can afford to leave the ruckman till the last pick, and we'll take another player here. You can't afford to do that now because clubs will leapfrog you with a trade, and a lot of them you can't control. We haven't done it so far to try to get a player because we've always had academy players that we're trying to control. So you more or less try to trade out to get more picks to be able to cover the pick. And tomorrow night will be interesting for the boys. The next 2 nights, actually, Wednesday and Thursday night, because we've got 4 academy players that we rate, but we can't determine where the bid comes in.
And that's because, correct me if I'm wrong, clubs will recognise this and make you bid on them and know that you have to bid on them earlier than you wanted to?
They've got the capacity to do that. I haven't seen too many indications yet where clubs have done it, because the risk is
they can get that player at that pick.
If they pass, you've got the player.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. You can play there's a bit of poker in there.
There's a bit of a poker,
bluff.
but you want to be bloody careful how you're playing your hand, because you could get caught red-handed trying to be too smart. And it did happen once before in a draft, and when the club didn't match it, the club that put in the bid, you could tell in their room.
They were rattled.
They were rattled. They didn't see it coming.
No, okay.
We'll go back and look at it.
Everyone else can.
No, I don't want to.
No, you're very respectful. I shouldn't have said that.
With these guys, because I'll run into them. Not as often, but the club also has to continue to deal with those clubs and managers
in that moment.
Yeah.
The draft's going to happen after this podcast is being recorded. So, So I want to this is fascinating. So everyone out there, I want you to just give me a couple of gems that you think are in there. And because this will come out after. So just something that you go, look, I think this player will go late, but I think he's an absolute gem. Or this player in the first round is going to be a must watch because of this and this. Can you just give me a little bit of the Tommy Talks exclusive beats on what you think's going to unfold and what you think will be fascinating on the night?
There's a kid from the Eastern Ranges that didn't play for Vic Metro, a running halfback, left-footed, called Oscar Taylor. Tested really well, really carries the ball extremely well. I'll be interested to sort of see where he falls in the draft, and there are a couple of little aspects of his game that he needs to improve on that will ultimately tell whether he's successful or not. It's more in the contest area. But if that comes off, he could become a very, very good player, this kid. So that's Oscar. One of his teammates is Oliver Greaves, who's a really big-bodied mid, and he could go down the Luke Parker track because he's already very big. Some may view him as cumbersome, etc. See, we don't get skin fold readings anymore.
Don't you?
No.
The skin folds are a bit of a myth, though.
No, not really.
I was fat, but I've got the top 10 beep test records still, and I was fat.
Yeah, but did you get your skin folds down when you got to a club?
They were still reasonably high for the first 2 years, and then naturally I felt like my body took over. So I'd sit around the 50s, and 55 to 60 was like off-season if I drank too much piss.
Yeah.
But I'd still be able to run time, and they'd come down. But the way my body was, I was one of those ones that was naturally high, but the output I could put out was better than any of the lean blokes.
I still think it's a really valuable tool for the player to know and the clubs to know what.
You get DEXA scans then?
No.
So you don't get any fat. Why? Like, is this how woke the world is now?
Well, they're reluctant to even release the weights.
Can I tell you a funny story about one of our teammates that's fooled all you recruiters?
Yeah.
He used to put the heel raisers in the socks, and you guys would make you take your shoes off.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, that wasn't us.
Just a good mate of mine, and he goes, boys, 3 centimetres extra.
Yeah. Well, funny as
So do you take the socks off, or do you just take the shoes off? Because I reckon if you get them in, it's
a good one. I'll look for that.
Yeah, look for that.
Well, I used to always say to our people, especially with tall players, I don't know why everybody's obsessed with where the top of their head is. Because I'm yet to see a key position player mark it with his head. Don't they mark it with their hands when the...
So you're saying measure the hands in there? Yeah.
The reach's the important thing, not where the head is and the vertical jump.
Things, yeah.
So there's that. But a classic of trying to cheat the system. This is a true story. One year at I think it was the TAC Cup or what it was at the time, the Victorian Elite competition, one of the zones worked out that they would take hairspray to the testing day and put it on the soles of the shoes to improve their agility scores.
Oh, so you can't.
Yeah, but they got caught out because they'd left the cans in the changing rooms and were able to, the AFL Vic were able to work back which zone it was. So then their scores were kept out of the battery of results that we got. But I thought that was pretty smart.
Do you respect that?
It's initiative, Tommy.
So because you can look at these two different ways. It's cheating or it's initiative. And creative.
Yeah.
It's like being at a stoppage. You need to manipulate the numbers in there.
I'm not going to say which way I looked at it because I might be giving them too much away on how I view things.
Just stay in the middle like everyone else. No skin folds, no DEXA. Amazing.
Yeah. Like I understand the mental health aspect of it, but my argument with the AFL is at the moment, why don't you make it optional for the player?
Yeah.
Because every elite junior that I've spoken to last year about it, if I said, if this option was available to you, would you be interested in it? To a man, they said, oh, hell yeah. If I could get access to things that might make me better, I would want that information. Now, I don't know why they don't provide it as a service to the players. Keep the information with the player and their conditioning staff. Don't have to give it to the clubs, but at least let the player know.
Yeah. So you're saying have a relationship with a university and they can go get their DEXA skin folds, bring it in themselves so they can show you and then take it.
Yep.
And then you guys could write it down, but you don't actually have the intellectual property or you don't have anything that you can share because it's just your word and their stuff.
Yeah.
And then away you go.
Yeah, it's their property. If they want to share it, they can. If not, at least they've got that information to talk to their strength and conditioning people.
I'll play devils. The only thing would be the guy that doesn't want to do it. You'd go, he's fat.
But we don't know whether they're doing it or not.
But I'm
it's
saying
optional.
Yeah, but the optional guy that says, here you go, I'm lean as they get, you get to see it. Say the next guy that comes in doesn't have it, right? Because he's unorganised, for example, even though he's fit, would you assume that he's fat?
No, there'd be a parameter around it where we wouldn't be able to ask.
Oh, he has to just show you.
Yeah.
Okay.
He'd have to voluntarily share that information with us.
So walking into the interview at Draft Combine would be, hey, I'd just like to start. Here's me papers. I want you to all have a look at this because their manager would have briefed them.
Yeah.
And then you have a look. Beautiful. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah.
Give it back to him. Start the interview.
Because some of the circumstances for a lot of the kids, and we had one through an academy boy that was down here, a boarder at a private school in Melbourne, they eat what they're given.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's not terribly hygienic and certainly not very good for them in terms of percentage of body fat, et cetera, et cetera. But he can't control that. He can't walk into the kitchen and say, no, I need lean pork and et cetera, et cetera.
Can't afford it as well, mate.
No. And especially if they're missing meals because they're out training and then they got to go and get Hungry Jacks on the way home because they're starving and they need caloric intake, et cetera, et cetera. So, yeah.
Why do you need skin? What's this fascination with the skin folds?
Just to tell you where their body's at in terms of is there room for improvement.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're like, oh, he's fat. That's all right. We'll lean him up when we draft him.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah.
I don't know why you don't get it, to be honest.
If they're given the information, then also do they act upon it? Do they go and seek advice how to change? Because that's giving you an indication this bloke's fair income.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if this becomes optional. The way you...
I've had the discussions with the AFL and I doubt whether it would, mate.
Amazing. Out of all things, that skin folds is something that they're very strict on.
Yeah.
Well, I wish it was around when I was there, Beats. I ran a 9:57 3K.
Yep.
And then was tapped out of training for being too fat my first 2 weeks. So I had to do conditioning. Wasn't allowed to train with the boys.
Yeah, okay.
I thought that was pretty stiff.
Who was coaching?
Ross Lyon. Loved his skin folds.
Yeah,
that was just the stand. Matty Pavlich got the tap as well.
Well, the funny,
but some people love skin folds. I get it. There's standards, but geez, give us a couple of weeks to burn them off.
Most clubs still assess that at club level, AFL club level, whether it's skin fold or the DEXA testing, etc. So we've got kids.
I thought you weren't allowed to do that anymore.
No. Hang on, you didn't quite understand what I said. So they arrive at AFL club level and they're tested straight away for that. Yet they weren't tested in their draft year. So they go from a situation where they weren't tested because it was prohibited, and then they go into their work environment. Day one, they're tested for their skin folds, and the kid's like, what's all this about?
Yeah.
Oh, hang on, I'm 62. Well, I didn't know that.
I would have done a few more cardio sessions.
Yeah, or I would have cut this out of my diet. I personally, I don't get it. I mean, for mine, the kids, if they don't want to try to play elite sport, no one's forcing them or begging them to play. It's a choice.
What does the AFL say when you say this?
I'm being too hard. You're old school. You're an old dinosaur, etc. But it really frustrates me. Like,
it makes sense to be frustrated.
If you want to play elite sport, no matter what it is, like it could be lawn bowls for all I care. But there are certain givens that they can't be negotiated. Non-negotiables is the word I want. I mean, you can't rock up to an AFL club and say, I don't like doing the running. I'm just going to do skills because I like the skills part.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But we might be going down that track. I don't know.
Oh, you can't go down that track.
We can't do the 2K time trial because
I wish it's good they went from 3 to 2. I don't know anyone out there that's done a 3 or a 2.
Yeah.
By the way, how many recruiters have done a 3 or a 2? Just because
I've done the beep test.
a bit of respect for the players that have to go through it.
Yeah.
Oh, it's fascinating. I got some questions. I want to just do some quick fire here. Beats, you've been on fire. Let's go through what's the hardest thing about being a list manager or head of recruiting?
Getting everybody within the football department to buy in and check their egos in at the door.
Yep. The toughest call you've ever made?
And a draft pick or letting a player go?
Either, both of them. Let's go both.
Well, there's a couple in the first round. I don't want to mention the players because they're all still playing. But if I had my time again, I'd flip both of them.
Yep.
Yeah, but they're early picks and...
You took one too early.
Yeah, and the other ones ended up a better player in both circumstances.
What about the player that you let go that you wish you didn't? And by the way, they'll appreciate you saying this.
Craig Bolton.
And why?
Well, the coaching panel didn't think he was going to be up to it. Kicking, a few other issues with him. Bolts ended up a premiership captain. Enough said.
That's good.
Yes, but I drafted him to Brisbane and there wasn't the faith in him and they go. So that's when it's frustrating. But I mentioned it before, pick your battles to win the war. If a coach doesn't have the confidence in the player, they're not going to play him anyway.
Yeah, exactly right. Not
Doesn't really matter what my opinion is. If coach has made his mind up, so be it. Or there might be other reasons why they've got to let him go. There could be salary cap and stuff like that.
The biggest draft hits you've had? Mentioned a few already.
Well, the rookies, Apps and some of those guys, like I have great pride in them that they're all 200-game players and stuff like that. But the best picks along the journey would have to be Black.
31, you said?
Yeah, Jordan Dawson, Lukey Power.
What pick were these guys for everyone out there?
Well, Luke was 50. Blackie, I think, was 31 or 32 or something or other. Bradshaw was 58.
He's a gun. Yeah.
Never saw him play live, you know.
You?
No.
How?
Picked him off Vision from the Murray, the Ovens of Murray. Well, he didn't play in the under-18 competition because he was working. So
You're watching Vision and going, this guy is a superstar, but I haven't seen him actually live.
And then he came to the draft combine at Waverley, which was an event in itself.
It wasn't Etihad or Marvel or whatever it's called.
No, it was out at Waverley, which was hilarious at the time, how we did it. So he was, a pick that I'd be really proud of. And Michael Riccitelli in the 60s.
Nice.
Didn't see him play much either because he had OP and ended up club best and fairest and just short of, he might have played over 250 games, Risha.
Yeah, he's very good. He
Yeah.
was at the Suns. Was it the Suns as well, wasn't he? Yeah.
Yeah, went to the Suns after. Yeah. Lions.
I'm just trying to think of another question here that you can answer. The biggest trade that didn't go through.
Probably the Danaher.
You were that close to Joey Danaher
one.
going
Yeah,
to
it
the
was
Swans.
pretty close. Yeah, had we in the end given up a second first rounder, Joey would have come and perhaps probably would have had to have gone to Carlton then. Yeah, but the way it panned out, well, Joey went on and played in a bloody premiership against us, but that's all right. Yeah.
When you watch that, does that rattle you a bit?
Yeah, it does a bit. Look, to be perfectly honest, it's a bit the same as the Josh Dunkley one. Like, ultimately, I had to make that call. And we didn't go for Josh because we needed to improve our kicking, and that was the same draft. We had Millsy in, I think Millsy was first, and then we got Jordan Dawson later, and we took another kid who didn't make it, but he was an elite kick, but the attitude wasn't there. And Josh at the time wasn't a great kick at all, but he's a fierce competitor, and he's now got 3 premierships, 2 of them against the Sydney Swans. So I've got to live with that. I have to live with that. And
So that's a mistake from you?
yeah, well, it would have to be.
Appreciate it, man, that it
It'd
admits
have
his
to
mistakes.
be. Well, I think that is a thing of, if you're going to last in recruiting and list management, own up to your mistakes and try to learn from them. And if you can't, and you're that pig-headed that you think you've got all the answers and you get them all right, well, good luck.
Dunks is a good friend of ours. If you know his makeup, which you would have, because he's his father's son, it does stagger me a little bit. I mean, because we all know you can work on that stuff that you mentioned that you didn't think he had, but yeah, he was definitely one that as you reflect and you see what he's done. I mean, he's a great person first and foremost, but then he's just the selflessness and the way that he can impact a game.
He's become a very good player.
Yeah. And to be honest, he fits that Bloods culture perfectly.
Yeah.
I think about when we played Swans, it was everything that he's made up of.
It's a funny game, though, because you sort of reflect and think, well, so the 2016 grand final, he played for
Dogs.
Would he have been in our midfield? Probably not. So then time showed that he didn't stay at the Bulldogs. He moved on, tried to get to Essendon. I don't know. Would he have stayed anyway? I don't.
Yeah.
Who knows?
The move's been great for him.
Who knows?
Yeah.
And he's a super player. He's done very well.
We can take the pressure off you and say, how could the Dogs let him go?
Yeah.
What's the toughest period you've ever had in your life in football?
The end of 2005, when I was told I wasn't required at Brisbane, sort of got a bit of a feeling midway through the year that things were off a bit. But to have no feedback on it hurt. I would have rather had some direct feedback about, look, we're not happy with the way things are going, we need to make a change. I would have preferred to deal with that. But I was lucky that Adelaide were on the phone very quickly, and that Andrew Ireland's a great mentor of mine anyway and a close personal friend. And I ended up there at the end of 2006. Yeah, that's probably the hardest part when you're told you're not required anymore.
Yeah. And in a role
But I must say, I reflect, I reckon I ended up better at what I do because I went to a different environment and learnt other things, and it made me reassess. And you can, if you're at a place for too long, just not so much get comfortable, but you're not looking at other ways that you can get better.
You're not as your innovation levels drop a little bit.
Correct. Yeah, and things change. Like nowadays, we specifically went and got Chris Kane from the Giants because he was a data analyst, and now he's completely revamped how the draft order takes place. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out in 5 years' time. But we looked at the methodology today, and it's really interesting, and that would have probably evolved if I'd stayed there in charge of that. Yeah.
Well, given the raspberry, you kind of just talk about being better at your job, but were you probably, I guess, better with players and letting them go because you knew what it feels like to be given the raspberry? We're talking about the way you deliver feedback, not leaving them without it.
I wasn't ever involved too often in exit interviews because when I worked for Brisbane and Sydney, 2 interstate clubs, I've always lived in Melbourne during that time. So invariably those conversations with the coach and the GM of footy. So I haven't had to be privy to that. I've always had follow-up calls with them afterwards about it, and that's pretty tough because every player you draft, you want to be really successful and have great careers, et cetera, and it just doesn't pan out like that all the time.
So when a player's out of contract, I've been there. So Paul Connors is my manager. I'm going, Paulie, can you get me anywhere? I don't know whether I'm going to be at the Freo another year. I've got no contract. They're telling me I've got to wait for trade period. I've got anxiety. I'm stressing. He goes, well, mate, I can't tell you the answer because we don't know. You're 50-50, they're saying, right?
Yeah.
When I was in that 50-50 mode, obviously different club, is that because the club's waiting on a player in the trade period or they're waiting for the time to get rid of you? Because they got rid of me as late as possible, it felt like. But are you, the GM, CEO, coach, are you all still actually making a decision on that player? Or is it like we've kind of got a plan, we've just got to wait to see what unfolds here?
I reckon it's changed a little bit the last couple of years. There's been more players recently released straight after the season.
Yeah.
Prior to that period, going back, say, 4 or 5 years, the model was more hold on to them to see whether or not you could get them involved in a trade.
Yeah.
Because as trading has evolved, there's more options that you can trade. Like this year, you're able to trade 2 years out.
Yeah.
So 2027 draft picks were able to be traded. So you've got a few more options now to get a trade done. In those days, you didn't have too much. So that would have been part of it. And also just continuing to work out the depth of the draft in terms of how many list spots do you want to have before you tell everybody out. Because the unfortunate thing is, as you know, players are contracted till the 31st of October. And then they've got to be informed after that time, is there a contract on offer or not?
They have to be informed on the 31st, is that what you're saying?
Yeah, well, you're out of contract then.
Yeah.
So clubs then have to make a decision. But that if you haven't made the finals, that would seem like eternity.
It was. I was away for a month and then come back. We had our BNF and I still didn't know. And people,
a month.
It was a terrible time. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Lloydie left, so that we didn't have a GM. You can imagine the whole that was going on there. So, but it was just more. I was fascinated to know who's making the decision and when do they make it, and if they've made it prior, which I think they did. It's just fascinating that you can hold on to someone that long and make them wait because it's a nasty period for anyone.
Well, technically, you've got till the 31st of October.
Okay. So if you're a player, it's like you'll know before the 31st.
Yeah. And those decisions usually would rest with coach, GM of footy, and list manager. Those three.
Yeah.
National recruiting manager wouldn't get too involved in that.
And you three in that meeting room, I'd imagine who's got the most pull. Coach?
Probably coach.
Yeah, with current players, yeah.
Yeah.
So you just sit back and go, hands are tied.
Yeah. You discuss it in terms of, well, what are the options to replace that list spot? Are we going youth or are we bringing in another player? And if we're bringing in another player, the role that they're playing, because sometimes you're trying to get the balance right in that demographic chart I was talking about before. With Brizzy when we had, with Sydney when we had the age group missing and we were definitely short on ruckman. So you're looking at those things as well during that period of time.
There's been a time in that meeting, this is why I framed this question, where coach wants to get rid of a player and you're like, I don't want you to get rid of him. Like he's still good to go. Or nah, you just got to fold. A bit like what you said with winning the war.
Usually the coach, I reckon, wins that one. Yeah. And sometimes it can be the reverse where the list manager's going, you know what, I reckon this player's done, been a great servant, and I've seen this occur, but the coach is reluctant to let them go because he's asked them to go to war all the time and they've been a great servant and done everything that they're asked. So he feels...
They deserve one more.
Yeah, and you've got to respect the coach in this because he's the one that's got to have the buy-in from all the players. And if he loses that respect from the player group because of how he's treated one of their colleagues, the damage might be done. So
very good.
This is just trying to get the balance right. It's never as...
Yeah, I think that's fascinating for everyone else listening to understand how hard it is.
It's never as simplistic as what you would think. And that's what I'm saying much earlier, that it's invariably it's not one person's decision. There's a team. Like I've often sort of describe it like if you're the recruiting manager, you might be the lead singer of the band, but you didn't write the song.
Yeah.
Or if you haven't got a good drummer or a good bass guitarist, the song's falling apart.
Yeah.
No matter how good a singer you are.
Yeah, the team.
It's a team sort of thing, and they all bring their strengths.
Let's go back to another guest of the podcast.
Yeah.
Clayton Oliver's been on a few years ago.
Yes.
And I remember him saying that you called him fat.
No. I remember seeing those lines of Clayton. And
Is there any mayo on that, or is that the truth?
No, I've tackled Clayton on this because I saw him not long after he'd made those comments. And my version of it is that there's a little bit of GST on that.
We love a bit of mayo.
My memory of it is I asked Clayton, had he ever had his skin folds done? Because at that stage they weren't banned from the AFL. Had you ever had them done to check where your percentage of skin sat? Because you look like you could lose some weight. But I, knowing myself, I couldn't see myself ever calling a player fat.
Yeah, I don't think I must say I was surprised when he's mentioned your name. I was like,
Oh, no, the conversation was around that.
Yeah.
But I'm hand on heart, I can't see myself saying you're fat. But I do recall a conversation about skin folds and have you had that checked? Because we'd had it once before with a player that was at Geelong, and Mickey Turner was the talent lead at the Falcons then.
Late great.
Yeah, the late great. Anyway, this player ended up getting his skin fold checked. They were extremely high, which didn't surprise us. But from the time he had them done to getting them done again at the draft combine, it dropped them quite significantly. We didn't end up drafting him, but this guy ended up an AFL premiership player for a club. But the fact that he got the knowledge that he needed and then went and acted upon it reassures you as a recruiter that if we give this guy a chance, he's going to have a fair income crack at it.
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean.
The ones that worry you is if they've got the information and nothing changes. Nothing. Like I worked with the psych, I mentioned him before, the guy at Brisbane, and he had this saying, you can't help a player change unless they're prepared to acknowledge that change needs to occur. Otherwise, you're banging your head up against the wall. Nothing will change. He has to understand that change needs to occur with whatever that is, whatever the issue is. Yeah.
It's a good saying, actually. It's like anything when you're trying to help someone out. It's like you can only help someone so far,
No,
until
you
they
can
help
lead a
themselves.
horse to water, you can't make it drink. There's an old one, Tommy.
We use
Probably
that a
would
lot.
never heard that.
No, we've used that a lot. There's a lot of our mates in WhatsApp. So we can lead a horse to water, and you can't make it drink.
So getting back to Clayton, I reckon that was more where the discussion was.
And you've caught up since and spoken about it, you said.
Yeah. I told him I was going to take him, put a lawsuit, not a lawsuit, was a defamation of character, taking my name like that. No, it was all good fun.
Yeah, I know. Well, you're both great, man. And it's good to see him at the Giants. He's going to have a big year next year.
He's a very good player. Yeah.
All right, a couple more because I know you got to get some dinner. Let's just go quick footy era. Over all the journeys, how would you break them down? I was going to go like 1990s and 2000s, but then we're just doing it in the 10s. I'd rather you just go, this is how footy has changed from when I started to now, and I'd love to know how you've broken it down. Where we are now.
It's a really great question because you hear people always talking about, this era was so great. And then you go back and you watch replays of that era and you go, oh, my God, they couldn't hit a target. Like it was great contested footy, and yes, there were more high marks taken because the ball movement was nothing like the level that it was. And I look back at the work that was done at Carlton when I was working there in the very late 80s, early 90s with the under-19s. So you weren't allowed in that era to kick off a step. So if you took a mark or a free kick and you pivoted and went pang, you were
benched.
Get back off the mark, 3 steps, kick long down the line type stuff. So that's changed, and the hands and the use of quick hands in tight in comparison to what it was is unbelievable now. Like the hands for the pressure around the ball is scary good. scary good. I don't like as congested as what the play is at times. I like the idea that the 6, 6 and 6, when a team gets a run on, that you can't automatically drop 1 or 2 back before the next set of bounce, which keeps the game alive, a la that game when did Melbourne win or lose that game when
St Kilda.
St Kilda.
Yeah, St Kilda
Against
won.
Melbourne,
Yeah,
wasn't
it was
it?
one of the greatest individual performances.
Yeah, well,
of
if
all
you'd
time.
been able to drop 2 back straight away,
You don't get that.
the hole's not there. So it's kept the game unpredictable. What I do worry about the game going forward is with another team coming in, so that's roughly 40 to 45 players extra that we're going to need is the talent pool strong enough to be able to deliver it? Like I'm hearing there could be as few as 50 new names called on this draft period. That's not a lot across 18 teams. Some teams are only having 1 pick.
You'd like to say, I mean, I would say no, not right now.
Yeah.
Maybe in 10 years when there's a lot of, the development's very strong. Talk about what you're doing next, but yeah, the next 2 years, it's 50. I mean, you can't even get enough top-ups now. Look at,
No.
I mean, I don't think this is being rude at all. I think Essendon were just decimated with injury last year and their top-ups just weren't up to it. And that's why they got smacked. But they're the players that are going to be entering that pool, and you got 50 of them.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's what worries me. I mean, and there's some speculation there might be a 20th team. Well, if that's going, I can't see where the AFL is trying to grow the game.
Mm.
And then in the northern states, there's all this hoo-ha about the academies and all this sort of stuff. And my answer to that is really simple. Okay, well, go back 5 years' time and before, tell me all the Queenslanders that got drafted. Tell me all the guys out of Sydney that got drafted. Tell me all the players that Gold Coast, Sydney Swans, Giants are able to trade back to their home state from a Victorian club that's drafted in comparison to the amount of players that Victorian clubs pull back to Victoria from interstate clubs, in particular the northern state clubs. I mean, we've got to try to find ways of being progressive in growing the talent pool. Otherwise, the game's got significant issues. And for mine, all the hoo-ha about academies, it's just naive. They don't understand the options that are up there in the northern states for those sides. And yes, Sydney's had been lucky enough with Isaac and Callum Mills and Errol Goulden. But the bit that staggers me with this, if they weren't in the draft pool because we hadn't done any work with them, we're taking other players that the other clubs drafted. So because we took those players, another player that's in the draft stayed in the draft pool for the clubs to draft afterwards.
Mm.
I don't get that. I mean, can you see the logic I'm talking about?
Yeah, no, it's Tom Green is a very passionate man about this exact topic.
Yeah.
And he just thinks Victoria is very biased.
It is, but people don't live there, so they don't get it. They don't understand it.
I mean, it goes back to back in the day with the zones and where you grew up, you played for that. I mean, you're going to be more passionate about your club as well if you're playing for your state or the team that you grew up for anyway. Yeah. I think of players that no doubt are going to be getting picked up through all these academies, but if they've been around the club since they're a little fella and they come through, like they're going to bleed purple if they're a docker, or going to bleed the blood colour like the Swan. You know what I mean? Like it's like I think of all our mates that have. I mean, look at the Dacos brothers. Like it's great to see the Dacos name around. You know what? Imagine a Dacos playing for Carlton. You'd be sick if you're a Collingwood fan. So,
well, you're telling me St Kilda wouldn't have been excited if Elwood Pickett and Boston Everett had been guns, or Lennox Hoffman out of their NGA program had been guns. Last year?
Who's the person
if they'd been the equivalent of Sam Darcy and Nick Dacos, you reckon St Kilda would be whinging about it?
No.
I don't think so.
Yeah. They need to do a bit more work in their zone. Is that what you're saying?
No, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is sometimes you need some luck. Boston wasn't Sam Darcy and Elwood wasn't Nick Dacos. But if they were, they'd be rubbing their hands together saying the father and son's the best thing ever going around since sliced bread.
Yeah. So you're for so who's against father son right now? Who's the biggest haters?
Vic clubs.
Big clubs.
Yeah. Yeah. And
Can't be the dogs or the pies then, can it?
Strangely enough, I don't think Freo are big on father and son and Northern academies.
Why?
I don't know.
Spoken to Wolsey about that?
Well, I think it's more the CEO.
Simon.
Yeah, from what I hear.
I have to have a chat to Simon about that.
Yeah, which I
mustn't have a lot coming. We should have a few coming through.
Yeah, they've probably got a hard zone, to be fair, up Geraldton Way and all that sort of big state, WA.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
We could sit here for hours. It's been great. We'll see where it feels like father son, I should say, should stay. If you know football and you see how lucky you are to have a one club player and or a player that plays over 100. It's 100 games, isn't it? To be
at the moment.
Very hard to do.
Yeah,
they deserve, I think, the chance to do what their old man did. So
yeah, well, I think
or their mother.
If my stats are correct, I think it's something as low as 17% of players drafted play 100 games or more.
Yeah,
out of all players drafted.
Yeah,
that's not a lot. That's not a high percentage.
No, it's very low. All right, one more. Advice to young footballers. So every player out there that's about to be drafted or wants to be drafted, they get told a lot of things. They get told to do this, do that. But what's your best advice to these young talent? Their mum and dad might be listening right now. Their uncles, their aunties, their grandparents, or there might be some young fella or young lady out there that's listening that wants to be on a list. What is your greatest advice?
There'd be two aspects, I reckon. Learn to train hard and sensibly, and to listen to those that count, because you'll have a lot of voices in your head, and that's hard for a young person to work out, but they need to get some advice into who to listen to, and that. Like if we looked at this year's draft pool, there'll be players drafted tomorrow night and Thursday night that will have played for 5 or more teams this year. So they might have played for the Calder Cannons, Vic Metro, Pegs.
Oh, yeah, that's the third,
AFL Academy, and maybe a VFL side or their home side. So if it's Cooper Duff Tyler, might have played a game for Woodend. I don't think he did, but it could be as many as 6. So that's 6 different people trying to tell you how to play the game, often with different rules, like the APS, AGS don't have high density rule, under 18s do, but it's working through whose opinion is most valuable here and who am I going to listen to.
If we go over those 5 clubs, you'd say the TSC Cup and the Vic Metro they'd be the ones?
Yeah, look for the ones that have got the experience.
Yes. And the higher, the higher the what am I trying to say here? But the harder the squad is to make, you'd imagine that the coaches and GM there have better advice than local.
You'd think so. Yeah.
When it comes to how to get drafted.
How to get drafted? Keep it relatively simple. What happens in elite sport is the game gets quicker, whether it's basketball, cricket, tennis, football, soccer, NFL, it doesn't matter. The game gets quicker. So your fundamentals have to be really strong so as you can execute your skills at speed with good decision making. That's the part. And that's one of the issues where, say, a kid who's a good young batsman facing someone that's bowling at 130k an hour, they might survive and play some good shots, but then playing a state level bowler who's bowling 140, 150, it's a completely different cup of tea. And footy's exactly the same, mate. Like, I would encourage kids that are thinking to get drafted, go to AFL games and go to boundary level, maybe in a back pocket or whatever, and just see how little time the defenders have got to move the ball out of defence and stuff like that, and just see how quickly they close and options are shut off, and it will reaffirm why you can't afford to fumble and you've got to be able to make good decisions quickly and execute skills under pressure.
Great advice. And I hope
It's
everyone
not
listening
much more
loves it.
technical than that. But if you haven't got the fundamentals, the whole thing falls apart.
I love the advice to get to that ground level and sit in the back pocket of an AFL game and watch the intensity. Because not many people have said that before. I reckon I've been around footy for a long enough anyway. I've never heard someone say, get to a game live and sit in the front row at a back pocket and watch the intensity.
Well, I think this is the case with all elite sport. TV's great, but it sensitises too much the speed and what people are doing with the ball or on the field. Like tennis is a classic example. Watching it on TV as opposed to going live and hearing how much work they're putting on the ball and seeing how it kicks live, like it's completely different. And footy's the same. I don't think many of the public have got a good appreciation of how quick and intense our game is.
Really well said.
And how little time the players have got to make good decisions when opposition are trying to force you into error down the field anyway. It's frightening how quick it is. Yeah.
And I think I said as my last question, but we're just going back to the era. I'm not going to compare eras, but that's the biggest thing, you reckon? How fast the game is now compared to back in the day? And would the old days say how physical it used to be and how...
I still think it's pretty physical.
Okay, that's what people say. So you're saying it's still as physical, it's quicker.
No. Well...
Like go through quickly, just
the part of being run through when you're sitting under a mark and a bloke just...
That's gone.
...blatantly takes you out. That's gone. The era of having the back of your head punched in by a defender coming in when they know they're not going to be able to spoil the ball, but we'll make him earn it.
Yeah.
That's gone.
Yeah.
But the ability to win contested ball one-on-one and get your body in the right position at speed is still there.
Yep.
So it's not like the physicality's dropped out of the game altogether. There'll still be space for them.
Love it. Mate, I can't thank you enough for coming into the studio and having a chat. But before draft night, it means the world. And, I've always wanted to get you on. I think it's been the best timing. Got your little present, mate, from Rick's.
Thank you, Tommy.
For jumping on. There's the box.
Jeez.
Going to make sure you look good, feel good tomorrow night. What are the chances you're slipping them on with your first round selection?
According to the writing here,
Tribeca's there.
Not suitable for people over 65, so I'm not sure that I'm not going to carry them off, Tommy.
I reckon you look elite in them. I've got a couple of pairs for you as well. Make sure you got a couple of options there for you, great man.
Thank you, Tommy. Appreciate that.
My pleasure, mate.
Mate, it's been good fun.
Yeah, thank you. That's great. Where would you take your Rixies when you after the trade period when you're stressed, mate? You would have travelled around Australia. What's the nicest beach you've been to?
Some of the beaches south of Sydney are really good, I reckon. Cottesloe's a nice beach, but too many sharks there.
Yeah, plenty of sharks.
If you've got kids, Mooloolaba.
Yep.
Great beach for a young family with kids. Any of them are all right, mate.
That would be you in the Rixies for sure.
Yeah, just make sure you slip, slop, slap, etc.
Slip, slop, slap. Put the hat on. The Rixies on.
Exactly.
You can't go wrong. Well, mate,
I appreciate these. These are lovely.
No, anytime. I appreciate you and appreciate you coming on and being so honest and opening up about all those stories and some people that have been on our podcast. And I hope I haven't forgotten any questions. Last one. So are you done after this draft? What's the next steps for you?
I'll be out of recruiting and list management as of the end of this draft, technically the end of December. But then I'm taking a part-time role with the club to do some work with the academy, just in talent ID and looking at their processes and if we can sharpen some of that stuff up, both boys and girls, and also establishing our father and son daughter program because we're a bit behind some of the clubs in having that organised. And I'm looking forward to that because there's a lot of players out of the 205 and 212 premiership that have got kids.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So, it's not so much about trying to find an elite talent, but it's making sure that the kids are engaged with the club. They feel as though that's their club and they have a good and clear understanding of what dad's contributions were to the club. There's not many dads that I know of in footy love bragging to their kids about how good they were, but I still think the kids should have an appreciation of the status Dad had around the club and how he's valued. Yeah.
No, really well said,
Good
mate.
song.
And yeah, I'm sure I mean, I don't know about you. Maybe I'm knocking around with the wrong blokes, but the guys that I know, that they're very fond of themselves and they get their highlights up all the time. So they must be a very humble bunch up there in Sydney.
Oh, they are, mate.
Mate, thank you so much for jumping
Tommy.
on, Beats.
Been a pleasure, mate.
Absolute pleasure. And hope everyone out there enjoyed that chat. It's a longer one, but it has to be because we don't get the great man in here. It's not easy. And we just got so many questions, and it's someone that we haven't interviewed, someone that's the head of list management and whatnot, and been around for, as I said, 38 years of football. The game's changed, but you've heard some of the coaches that you've been under and the players that you've been around. There's some amazing stories. So, Beats, thank you to everyone out there. Thank you for your support. And hit subscribe if you haven't already. Share it to a mate that loves his football. And we'll see you next time on Tommy Talks. Cheers.
Hi, I'm Shaquille O'Neal. I'm wearing Rick's sunglasses, made in Australia.
Shaq loves Australia.
See?
There we
That's
go.
your first commercial right there.
Head to checkout and use the discount code ACES and you'll get 20% off site-wide. Rick's, eyewear that inspires confidence.